the heck was Dan Campbell doing on fourth down on Thanksgiving? What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Gridiron podcast. It's going to be a doozy this week. I know I promised that my coworker was going to be on this week. Unfortunately, due to scheduling issues, we were unable to have that happen. He should be on for next week. But you guys got us today. So let's get into it. I'm going to save the Thanksgiving game for last, just because I know we're going to touch on it a lot. Let's start with the shutout that the Vikings had. Lost 26-0 to Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, where do we even start with the Vikings at this point? As they're basically done for the season. We can just wrap it up there. I think at this point, if you're the Vikings, what's interesting too is I was actually just listening to some sources in the NFL, and they were talking about, do the Vikings actually potentially try and trade Kevin O'Connell to get draft picks? I know, pretty bizarre. I did not even think about that.
It's possible.
So not that, Kevin, it's this year's Kevin O'Connell's fault, the whole JJ McCarthy situation. I don't know if they should have repaid Sam Darnold. I don't know if they would have matched what Seattle gave him. Perhaps not. But they're going to lose a lot of free agents next year, and it'll be interesting to see the direction this team goes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I saw something where last year Kevin O'Connell was being called like the quarterback whisperer, I think they called him. And then this year you have JJ McCarthy. You have Max Brosmer, who played in this game. You have a whole bunch of it was not a good quarterback room to start with. But like you said, I don't really think that's really on Kevin O'Connell because, like I say every week, the players have to execute the play calls. Like every time we've talked about John Morton or Matt LaFleur, we've always talked about the players have to execute the play calls, even if they are bad play calls. They have to execute. And the Vikings really haven't this year. Obviously, now 4-8. As you said, their season's pretty much done because of how close the race is for the entire NFC in general. Like, obviously, the race for the NFC North is really close, the NFC East, and the NFC West, with Dallas kind of creeping up a little bit. And then NFC West, obviously, with Seattle, the Rams, and really the 49ers as well. So it's really try to get a draft pick at this point for the Vikings.
No, I want to go back to, I think, the preseason episode, if not the week one episode we made. We were talking about the offseason additions that the Vikings made and how great they were and how this team was, we talked about it in previous episodes how they're built for a win now team. But we really overlooked, JJ McCarthy's first year in the NFL and how much of an impact he has. I mean, obviously it's a quarterback position, but if he's not able to execute or play up to the standards that Kevin O'Connell needs him to, then the whole team falls apart. And we've just seen it. So these guys coming into the NFL, I think there's a lot of pressure for these guys to, perform at a high level. And it's an unfortunate situation for them because if they don't, they really don't get a fair evaluation as to how talented they can be. I think CJ Stroud was an exception for that. But the Vikings at this point, I think just need to start the rebuild again, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think we even said they might be like a 9-8 team. I think was the highest that we were going to put
Yeah.
them, but we definitely had them at the lower end of the NFC North. Now, if we were to go back and look at our preseason NFC North predictions, they are 100% wrong as of right now, for sure.
Definitely.
But I think this was a revenge game for Sam Darnold, 100%. He gets released by the Vikings in the offseason. Now, you say you don't think they could have paid him. I think they could have.
Uh, I
I th-
I think they
I
could
think
have, yeah.
if you get rid of maybe some of that draft capital or like negotiate people's contracts like we've seen other teams do, I think you could have paid Sam Darnold, who has really rejuvenated his career to a like a prime time player at this point. Because 5 years ago we would have been like Sam Darnold's 9-3 in the NFL. Like what? And last year he was 14-3. We would have never seen that coming ever.
I think
So
I just wanted to go back on
go
that
ahead.
point. I think that the Vikings, I think they could have paid Sam Darnold. I don't think they would have paid him the amount Seattle did. I think with Kirk Cousins, right? There's been contracts with him that weren't even 100 million. I think, I'm looking at it right now, 3 year, 84 million, two-way or 2 year, 66 million. I just don't think
Mhm.
they're an organization who's going to pay top dollars. Now they did for Justin Jefferson, of course, because if they would have let him go, that would have been a crazy story. But the quarterback
Right.
position, they're just not a team to throw out cash like that. So it's not that they couldn't, it's just that they don't want to. And Sam Darnold,
Okay.
honestly, hit or miss. He had a great year with Minnesota, but could he do it again? That was the real question.
Yeah, and their run game was also non-existent with Jordan Mason only 47 yards. And that's just not winning football. If you can't get the run game established, you're not going to win games. So I think it's going to be even more of a downward spiral for the Vikings. Looking at their upcoming schedule, it's not going to be easy for them. They have the Lions again. Let me look at it fully. They have the Commanders, who, yes, they are injured. They have the Cowboys. They have the Giants, who were able to compete with both the Packers and the Lions. And then they have the Packers again. So it's not an easy schedule by any means. Now, do I see them winning a couple of those games? Yes. I don't think they're going to end this season with only 4 wins, but do I see them even making a comeback to potentially take third place in the division? No.
I just want to point out really quick before we move on. I don't think the Vikings, since Adrian Peterson has had like a good running game. I am I wrong about that? Dalvin Cook, you could say he was good back in his prime, but I just don't remember the Vikings ever having like an established threat in the backfield since AP or I mean Dalvin Cook is the recent example, but like
Even in Minnesota, Delvin Cook wasn't
he
like
wasn't, yeah,
anything too
right,
special.
right.
So I really think it has been since Adrian
I
Peterson,
mean
which
honestly,
was like 2010.
I mean yeah, a long time ago. Crazy.
Yeah, because afterwards he played for the Lions. So yeah, I think it's been quite a long time since they've had anything special with running backs. I mean, Aaron Jones, yes, but he is up there in age.
Yeah, he hasn't been explosive like the way he was with the Packers obviously, but it's
Right.
just they just need to get a running back, dude. Like they really do, especially with that offensive line. I mean, they just need a guy who can hit the hole, man, or a Josh Jacobs, for example. But
I mean, the draft,
we'll
there's
see.
some good running backs in this draft class.
Yeah, we'll see. We will definitely see.
All right, so I guess next we can talk about a game that really kind of surprised me. I predicted the Eagles to win this game because
Yeah.
of how dominant their defense has been against NFC North teams specifically. But the Bears come out and win 24-15. Are the Bears actually legit or what?
Listen. I know it's the Philadelphia Eagles, and I understand that they were number one in the NFC. They're a team that's going to be in the playoffs, who's going to try to go back into the Super Bowl. We've seen this Eagles team though, Nick, 2022, I believe it was, or 23, if I correct me if I'm 10-2 Eagles, and they dropped the remaining games in their schedule. And I think they ended up like 11-5 or something like that, along those lines, something like that.
It was
10
10-6.
and 6. Okay, so they dropped all of them. This Eagles offense has been struggling for the longest time. Even though they beat the Lions, they beat the Packers, they scored a combined 26 points in those games. They beat the Lions 16-9 and 10-7. And then they put up 15. So they're right on average with how bad this offense is. And Saquon is not the same running back as we're seeing, which to a degree I can understand because the dude's put up a significant standard, which is hard to replicate. But even then, he's not getting the same, even close to average numbers, which, he's getting contact in the backfield like minus 1.5 or something like that. So right when he's getting the ball, the offensive line's crippled and he can't, go anywhere. So there's a lot of problems with this Eagles offense. And it's not to, discredit the Bears. They did play well, but there were some opportunities where I really thought the Eagles could have cashed in on.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned the Eagles offense, and I applaud you for bringing up Saquon because I was going to bring up Saquon, how he really a 2,000-yard season last year is very hard to replicate again. It is very hard to get 2,000 rush yards in an NFL season, but the average numbers, and then obviously the drama with AJ Brown. But the reason why I ask the Bears if the Bears are legit, let's admit they have had somewhat of a cakewalk schedule outside of the NFC North. They really haven't versed that tough of competition.
We can go back to I'm on the top of my head. We got the Raiders who they blocked a field goal to win the game 25-24, and the Raiders are a horrible football team. They had to get that kick return or they score I'm sorry. It was a Loveland last second touchdown or toward the end of the game for the against the Bengals, right? Trying to think of other.
They beat the Commanders by one.
Yeah, they're in a lot of these. Oh, and then the freaking Vikings game recently that the Vikings go down to take the lead and they get that punt return or kick return and sets them up for a field goal. I mean, they've had some breaks.
Steelers game too.
Yeah, they've had some
The
breaks.
Steelers game too.
They've had some
Yeah.
breaks. You can say it's luck. I mean, or some people can say it's luck. Other people argue it's a talent differential, but this is like the Minnesota Vikings story all over again. You know what I mean? I, I just I'm waiting to see. This is the game that I'm waiting to see Bears versus Packers because top talent versus top talent will really see who is legit.
And obviously, I mean, 154 yards, one touchdown, one interception for Caleb. But their run game, I mean, we keep mentioning Kyle Monangai. This guy came out of nowhere this year. He had 22 carries, 130 yards, and a touchdown against the Eagles. And it's really night and day. And now I saw the PFF ratings for the Bears offense, and none of them are in the top five. None of them,
Yeah.
which is insane to think that this team, with nobody in the top five, is 9-3, and then you have teams like the Packers, the Lions, who have multiple people in the top five, top three in their position. So it's very interesting to see.
Yeah, no, this Bears team, well, I know we'll get into it later, but they're an actual average team statistically. Obviously, in the win column, they're not, but statistically speaking, they are actually an average offense. I mean, if they're not winning the takeover battle on defense, I mean, they do struggle. So I know we'll get into that later on, but yeah, no, I mean, it was a good game. It was a good win that the Bears actually needed for momentum, and because I honestly thought the Eagles were gonna come out here and rebound and smack the Bears, but that was just not the case.
Now, time for me to rant. We're going to go into the game that happened on Thanksgiving. Packers versus Lions. Packers take the win 31-24. Now, I'm going to start with this. Okay. I know you and I talked off stream about the first touchdown of the game, whether or not it was a touchdown or not. Now, I've seen it ruled both ways. I've seen it ruled as a touchdown where as soon as you have the ball in your hands and you have a foot planted, that counts as the first foot down. I've also seen where you have to start having full possession and then the foot comes down. That's when it's ruled as the first touch. I want to hear your opinion on it. Unbiased opinion, just NFL analyst opinion. Obviously, you're a Packers, so I want to have that biased out of it. Was it a touchdown or was it an incomplete pass?
Oh yeah, so completely unbiased. Like I'm not even trolling right now. I know I'm a Packer fan, but I was actually looking because when you I was actually not watching the game, but I was watching it play by play because I was unfortunately with family and they don't like technology, but I was trying to keep up with as much as possible. So when I did see that Dontavian Wicks touchdown, and you said, how is that a touchdown? I went back, saw a clip of it, and I was like, at first, I even thought, how is that a touchdown? Because as soon as Dontavian Wicks, I was with you. I thought you had to show possession and get both feet down afterwards. Where I think they thought he had possession was because of the way the ball was placed in his arms as soon as he caught it. I thought it was like almost in his forearms, and then he got his foot down, and then the second foot. It was honestly a weird catch. I didn't actually know. I'm not gonna lie. As you said, I could see it called both ways. I'm just surprised it went the Packers' way because usually we don't get those calls. But honestly, I thought that was a touchdown just because of the way it was in his forearms and the way he showed possession throughout. But I could totally see the opposition of how it couldn't be a touchdown.
Fortunately, we're unable to show the catch on stream due to copyright issues with the NFL. But when are you talking about when he brought it in after that first foot had been planted already? And then obviously, who was it that hit him? I think it was Hallett that hit him in the leg, and his leg kind of bent backwards, sort of thing. And then that last foot that came down appeared to be out of bounds. And in my opinion, that would be the second foot, and it was out of bounds. Obviously, in the NFL, you had to have 2 feet down. It's not like college where you had to have one. But in my opinion, it would have been an incomplete because he had it in his hands, but the ball was still moving with the hit. And then he brings it in to his forearm, has that first foot hit because that foot that he had down when he first touched the ball was already
Yeah.
up. And then that second foot comes down out of bounds.
Yeah, dude. I mean, honestly, I could totally see, like, from your point of view, like, how that is a touchdown. I'm not gonna even lie. Like, it was a sketchy catch, bro.
It's a very bang bang
Yeah,
play.
it was very fast. It was looking at every single, foot of, was the second foot out of bounds. I think it was very close, but, I don't know. I'm gonna sit here and say, like, oh, that's what won the Packers the game because it didn't. But that was just a very fortunate call that did go our
True.
way. And, honestly, the Lions came back and responded. So.
And then another call I want to talk about that fourth and goal, false start, flag thrown, and then all of a sudden, Matt LaFleur called a timeout. If you look at the video, if he's yelling timeout, why is he yelling it towards the field? And why is he not signaling for a timeout?
I mean, look,
He doesn't, he signals for a timeout after the flag is thrown.
hey man, we don't even got to talk about it. He did not call a timeout. He went on the
Thank
post
you.
game conference, and you know what he says? Because the interviewer asked him that same question. He goes, "Of course they got it right," and he winked at them. It was so funny, dude. I was finally we got some luck. I mean, yeah, dude, complete. We got lucky. We got so lucky there because that would have been a
That
false
turned into
start.
7.
It did turn into 7. Well, we got so lucky, but
Now, I do want to talk about this. On a good note, obviously 256 yards for Jared Goff, 2 touchdowns. But I want to give props to Jamison Williams real quick. He is a guy that did not get enough touches at the beginning of the year. Goes into the wide receiver one position with Amon-Ra St. Brown going down. Who knows if he's going to play in tomorrow's game with the ankle injury. But he came out 7 receptions, 144 yards, and 1 touchdown. Now, I want to give him his props because he is a guy that has been drugged through the mud in the NFL his first 3-4 years in the league. And when his number's called, he is consistently proving why he is an NFL receiver. What do you have to say about that?
What I got to say about that is his touchdown should not have been a touchdown because Valentine had him dead to rights in the backfield and completely missed a tackle. Nonetheless, though, I mean, Jamison Williams did torch us, and he is a problem, man, when he's out there and healthy. I mean, he's definitely a good piece for the Lions. And yeah, I mean, the Lions need him right now more than anything with Laporta and St. Brown being out. So, but it was a great game from him. Great game from him. I hate to see it. I wish Valentine would have made that hit, but instead I'm looking at a Jamison Williams 44-yard touchdown.
Then let's talk about the fourth downs because I know you and I have had our differences on Dan Campbell's coaching style. That fourth down that they went for on midfield, I think was the dumbest decision I have ever seen. Because I saw a stat, right? So if an offense starts at the 50-yard line, they have a 95% chance of scoring, and most likely they are going to bomb it down the field, which Green Bay is known to bomb it down the field. And Jack Fox is the type of punter, he could have pinned them inside the 10, maybe inside the 5, where then offenses have a 5.3% chance of scoring. It goes from 95% to 5.3. Why the hell are you going for it on fourth down at the 50-yard line with an offensive line that has been a joke this year?
I think it's unfortunate to say, man, but you're going to live and die by your coach. This is where it'll come back to bite you. All those times it worked out, but when it doesn't, it's the big difference in the game.
Oh, I know when it hasn't worked out. NFC Championship, San Francisco. I know when it doesn't work out.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
I mean,
that's funny. I think that
you gotta
it was.
go ahead.
I,
Go
I I
ahead.
think I was gonna say on the inverse, it was very interesting to see Matt LaFleur going for it on the fourth downs and actually the Packers converting. I was just happy that they went for it on the fourth and goal. You saw the aggressiveness from Matt LaFleur and how it worked out for them. That was the difference in the game. He played to win, not played to lose.
I got to give our defense some props. I mean, yes, we did give up 31 points, but our run defense was able to stop Josh Jacobs left and right. And our defense has really been the cornerstone this year. I mean, in years past, it's been the offense, but this year it has been that defense. Calvin Shepard stepping into that defensive coordinator role. Aiden Hutchinson, I mean, yes, he was pretty non existent all game, besides for like maybe a couple tackles. But that's secondary too. I mean, yes, tough catches, that 4th and 3 at the very end of the game where Wicks ended up losing his shoe, where Love is fading back. I mean, we have talked about those types of throws with Jordan Love, where he's 1 foot fading back and those tough catches. I mean, Watson had some tough catches. Dobbs had some tough catches. Wicks. So I like that our defense is making offenses work. They are making them work for these yards. I mean, yes, there are those times where you're letting wide open receivers, Giants game, hello, wide open receivers go for 40, 50 yards, but they're making offenses work. And I want to talk about this. This game is another example why Brad Holmes should be making trades at the trade deadline. I might be saying this for the rest of the year. Our offensive line, we didn't have Graham Glasgow. Like, we don't have Frank Ragnow for the rest of the year now because somehow he went to the physical and had a grade 3 hamstring strain and didn't know about it. He just said, "Oh, I have a little issue with my hamstring." So he comes out of retirement and then 2 days later is forced back into retirement. So we don't have Frank Ragnow coming back. Who knows when Graham Glasgow is going to be even relevant? He has not been good as a center this year. Then Coyote Awusika is letting defensive linemen blow past him because he's not moving his feet. Like, as an offensive lineman, you need to move your feet. You are having a 280, 300-pound guy. And then when you have Micah Parsons, he's quick, 260, I want to say he weighs, coming at you. You got to move your feet. I don't know the exact weight of Micah Parsons. Don't quote me on that. But he's quick. You have these guys that are quick and weigh a lot of pounds, and you need to move your feet. If you are not moving your feet and you are not blocking correctly, you need to get the hell off the field. You do not deserve to be on the field. And then Taylor Decker, I mean, he's been an all-pro player. He has been non-existent this year. Tate Ratledge, he's been solid. Rookie coming into the NFL, he's been solid as a rookie. And then you have Penei Sewell, who's always been really good. He's like the one bright spot. Because we can't, like I said with the Vikings game, if we can't get the run game going with a broken offensive line, then we're not going to win games. We're not going to open up the play action. We're not going to open up these screen passes that we apparently love to run. And we're not going to win games because if you have an offensive line and you have Jahmyr Gibbs who has to fight for every single yard he gets, and David Montgomery who has to fight for every single yard he gets, yes, they're both tough, and Jahmyr Gibbs can run past anybody. You can't have an offense work where an offensive line is not solid and working together. You have the blocking schemes are just horrible, where apparently you have Awusika blocking the same guy that Decker's blocking, and then all of a sudden Micah Parsons is just like, "Hello, I'm here." It's like, what the hell are we doing?
Not gonna lie, Nick, this is like the most I've seen you fired up. This is kind of
There are some games where I don't mind losing,
yeah,
but these division
it's
games,
everything.
when it was that bad, it needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
Like if we lost the Bears week 2, I would have been this pissed. Week 1, I was like, okay, against the Packers, okay, they're in a honeymoon phase, right? They just got Micah Parsons. They're going to be in this honeymoon phase, right? And then Thanksgiving, we have only won in my lifetime. Ready for this? You ready for this? You want to know the stat? In my lifetime, we played every single year on Thanksgiving. You want to know how many times we've
I
won?
guess two.
I'm 24 years old. 3 times in 24 years.
That is rough.
3 times in 24
That
years.
is rough.
We have won on Thanksgiving.
That is so rough.
And you want to know who has been mainly against? Oh, the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I mean, I think you did a good job summing it up. I don't really need to rehash any of these other points. The Packers, credit to the Lions' offensive line. They were able to stop the run. As you said, though, this was a great game in terms of making the offense work because some of those balls that Jordan Love threw had to be perfect, and the catches, the hands had to be perfect. It was great to see Dontavian Wicks, who we have not seen all season. Literally, he was on the sidelines because he was getting, I think time was getting given to everybody else besides him because he was dropping balls week 1 and 2. But
I think it was given to like Matt Golden or
yeah, more
something.
Matthew Golden and Savion Williams, but great to see him step up with these guys injured, and he was catching everything. Christian Watson, I always love Christian Watson. The guy has hands of steel. catching everything. That 51-yard bomb, it's great to see that. Play action, we saw it all from Matt LaFleur. He called a great game, but the annoying thing about this was the team that we could have been against the Panthers, the Browns. That is the most frustrating thing about this is what we could have been. But it's good that we're seeing it now, I guess. But it's just, our record, we could have been number one in the NFC, not the Bears.
Yeah, and I'll add one more point. Obviously, Terrion Arnold getting injured in this game, now placed on IR. It's going to be rough for the Lions for sure. Obviously, having the hope of Frank Ragnow coming back and getting April Fools in December, but I mean it's going to be very difficult, especially because you have the season last week or last year where we did have a lot of these injuries. But let's get into the predictions for next week. Obviously, Thursday night football, we have the Detroit Lions against the Dallas Cowboys.
This is going to be a banger
And
game, dude. This is do or
this is
die.
definitely going to be a
Do
banger.
or die for both
I
teams.
think, honestly, the Lions are favored. I am going to pick the Lions, but I think it's going to be a close game. I'm going to say 24-21.
I'm going to pick Dallas. I think that the Lions' offensive struggles continues, and I think Dallas will win this game 30-23. It'll be a great game. This is both teams fighting to get in the playoffs. Both need to win.
Then next, we got the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Washington Commanders. I did hear potentially Jaden Daniels being back. Um, so there's that. I think I'm going to give it to the Commanders. I really think that the Vikings are just too far gone this year. Obviously, now with their third quarterback this year. So I think it's going to be the Commanders winning 14-10.
Ooh, low scoring affair. I think I got the Commanders too. I'm going to say 27-19. I think, yeah, I don't know. That game's just whatever at this point.
Then we got the Bears at Lambeau Field against the Packers. You know what? Because I want to see it, I am going to pick the Packers. Yes, I am choosing the Packers probably for the first time this season. No, I'm just kidding with that. But the Packers are going to win this game. I'm going to say 24-19. I think it's going to be very interesting how it's going to match up. Or no, I'll say 24-17. 24-17. It's going to be a touchdown game.
I mean, I got my Packers 27-21. But it's going to be pretty cold up in Lambeau as the sunset's apparently setting at like 4:11 right before the game. So that's actually interesting. I think that this one's going to be very interesting because the Bears, as I talked about it earlier, they 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 love turnovers. Yeah, I think they're at 17. Second place is at like 9. So they are really a team that thrives off of turnovers. I think the Packers offense, though, Jordan Love only has 3 interceptions this season. That's incredible. So they don't turn over the ball. So this is going to be a battle of who's going to make the mistake. Will we see a Matt LaFleur who's going to be aggressive, going for it on fourth downs, or will we see a passive Matt LaFleur? And, we'll have to see what kind of Bears we get. It'll be a great game. I mean, this is going to be a banger of a game. I know I have a lot of pride on this game, so a lot riding on this one for me.
Yeah, Chicago versus Green Bay, a rivalry as old as time. Now, that's going to do it for this week's episode. Tune in next week where we should have my coworker to be able to battle it out with Mike on who is better, Jared Goff or Jordan Love, which I think, actually, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to sound faded. So, but you guys can follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Twitter, anywhere you guys get your podcasts. And make sure to tune in every single Thursday with the episodes. And we'll see you guys next week. Go Lions.